So I am just fresh out of watching Godzilla versus Kong,
Oh, you
Adam.
just finished it?
Just finished it up not
Nice.
too long ago, and um, opted to watch this one at home for right now. It's one I definitely want to see in the theater, though. I mean, I think it's one that deserves to be seen in the theater for sure. Um, even just for the visuals alone. And so we are gonna do our YouTube exclusive review of Godzilla versus Kong right now. So, Adam, what were your overall thoughts? And even before we get to that, what are your thoughts of this series as a whole?
Well, I probably overall liked this one the most of the bunch. Uh,
Hmm.
at least like this current iteration of MonsterVerse, whatever it is, films.
Yeah,
These aren't movies that have ever really like had a very deep place in my heart. They've.
sure.
I'm not a huge monster fan. I'm not into that type of thing. Um, Overall, as a series, I thought Skull Island was pretty good. Godzilla King of the Monsters was really rough for me, and this one was a lot, but it was fun. It was in some parts it was more of the same. In some parts it was off the wall, wild, crazy stuff, and
Yeah.
uh, and then in other parts it was pretty grounded, pretty good. So it was, I liked it. Still a little bit of a mixed bag, but I did like it.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. I'm not normally a monster flick kind of guy, but for some reason I've been drawn to these movies, especially Godzilla. I saw the 2014 Godzilla film directed by Gareth Edwards in theaters, and then the 2019 Godzilla King of the Monsters I saw in theaters as well. Um, and so, I've enjoyed those movies for what they were, and I saw that they were all on HBO Max, so I was like, "Okay, I think I need to revisit these films." And, Kong Skull Island is a movie I never did see, so I wanted to watch that before watching the new one. So I went back and watched, the 2014 Godzilla, which I really enjoy that movie. I think it's a good monster movie. I think it's a good Godzilla movie. Um I think Adam, I mentioned you before. I didn't love that Bryan Cranston's character goes out so early in the movie. That felt a little bit abrupt to me. Um, but there were lots of things I liked about it. And Kong Skull Island, I thought was for what it is. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought it was a good blockbuster film.
I would
A lot of
agree.
good
Yeah.
humor. Good, some fun cast members are in this movie. Like Samuel L. Jackson and John Goodman and
Yeah.
what's that one dude's name that was in Step Brothers? I can't
Oh,
think of it
John C.
right now.
Riley.
John C. Riley, yeah. He played an interesting role in it, and
Yeah.
I, I think what was interesting for me is the first Godzilla in 2014, and then King Kong Skull Island. They both made me care about these monsters that I didn't really think I'd care that much about. Um, and and I think that is the basis for why I'm interested in these movies.
I don't know. For me, monster movies, like there's still, for me, Peter Jackson's has the most heart of any of them. Like I felt for Kong there. It felt like a character that I could you know latch on to, and there was something there that kind of made me feel for him a little more in that movie um, than really any of the ones that I've seen in this recent batch of stuff. And then for some reason, there's like monster movies for me. Like there's King Kong, Peter Jackson's King Kong, and then there's Cloverfield for some reason,
Yeah,
like the first one. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know. So for
I
me,
enjoy Cloverfield
yeah, I
too.
don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. That's kind of like the extent of the monster movies that I really kind of enjoy. So
Yeah, yeah, same here. And like I said, I've been drawn to these ones. I think for a monster movie, for a Godzilla movie, for a King Kong type movie, I think they're pretty good. I don't, they're not gonna change my life or anything, but I'm not gonna like be deep in thought about them for hours after
I
seeing
don't
them or
know.
anything.
Yeah, yeah,
But I think they're fun, and
sure.
there's
Sure.
some. I think the character work can be a little bit lacking in some of them, but I think it's these movies are more about the monsters themselves sometimes than the humans. So
I
um,
guess sometimes it's you know I just get tired of this looks cool. This is a cool monster. You know, trampling over Boston, and now we're gonna do the same thing and pick a different city. Let's do it in Hong Kong. It's like,
mhm,
come on, like there's nothing there
yeah,
for me. Basically for me, like what I'm saying is like it can only be fun for so long when I feel like I'm seeing the same type of thing over and over again. And
right.
this movie was a little different than that. There's a little bit of different
It
stuff there,
was.
so I felt a little better about it. But it's like,
Yeah, yeah. I was getting a little monstered out this week, this holiday weekend, because just
yeah,
watching all these back to back to back.
yeah.
But this one did have some fresh stuff in it. So why don't we go ahead and get into really Godzilla versus Kong and what you thought of this film. Um, even getting into some spoiler stuff. What did you like about it? What was different? What stood out to you?
I particularly like that we had a different way to communicate with Kong through the
Hmm.
girl with the sign language.
Yeah,
I
that was very
thought
cool.
that helped a lot
Hmm.
in creating a connection with one of these monsters.
Yeah.
So having that connection, I think, was a vast improvement over a couple of the other entries.
Hmm.
So you kind of got a little bit of a feel for what Kong wants, and the whole thing about getting him home, where is home, and that type of stuff, and seeing him once he's in home, and then that type of thing felt more it felt more grounded. It felt better for me than anything the other movies had done previously. So.
Yeah, and I think, obviously the communication is a big barrier for these humans with these monsters.
I mean,
So, um
I keep talking about the Peter Jackson, but that was the kind of a thing in Peter Jackson's as well. There was a way to
mhm,
kind of know how Kong was feeling, and that
yeah.
was that I think hits home better
Mhm.
than anything else.
Yeah, I too think they did a great job with that communication with the sign language and everything, and I really felt a connection between Kong and that girl, which also made me feel connected to Kong as a character. I felt really bad for him when they were just like shipping him off to Antarctica in this big barge and they had him all, chained up and everything um dude, why can't you just leave this dude alone, it was good that it ended up, where it ended up, but um the process of getting there was kind of painful to watch, everything that Kong kind of went through, because I really did feel for that character. I felt more for that character than Godzilla for sure. um but yeah, I think that it definitely takes some it felt a little bit different than the other ones, which was good. I think number 1, that communication thing, the connection with Kong and the girl. I think even they've been really building up to this whole Hollow Earth thing, and getting to actually see that, was pretty interesting. I thought it was a cool concept of, like, the gravity being inverted, once they got in there and everything. It definitely took a leap in a
Yeah.
suspension of disbelief to think,
Yeah.
"Oh, they created this craft that can traverse this hollow earth and everything, and then how
Yeah.
when did they have time to have basically this subway system that traveled, like, thousands of miles per hour between Hong Kong
Yeah.
and wherever the other place was?" But,
Yeah.
um
it's
and then
it was a little rough. I mean, absolutely, that was a tough part of the movie for me because, like you said, it's like,
yeah,
all right, the guy's brother dies, and now we're running tourists down to
right,
within the span of the one movie. Like, okay.
and, I forget what that
Like,
character's name was, but
have you guys never watched Jurassic World? Does this do you know how this is gonna end? Like,
Yeah, it's not
we're
gonna
gonna
end good.
shuttle people down to see these monsters, and it's just gonna be okay. Like,
But somehow that scientist guy who wrote that book about the Hollow Earth, he knew how to supercharge the thing and use it as a freaking
defibrillator.
defibrillator on, on Kong. Somehow he knew all the buttons to push and everything, and it's impressive.
That's kind of my problem with these, and maybe I'm
Yeah,
reading too much. Maybe they're just
yeah,
supposed to be brainless because they are
right.
kind of brainless sometimes.
Hmm.
I had that problem with some of the other movies. It was it was the one. It was King of the Monsters, I think, where Godzilla had to be shocked back alive, kind of like this. He had to be shocked back
Yeah,
alive, but
yeah,
with a nuke that time. It's like,
right. With a
you know.
nuke, yeah.
And there was one part where something was broken, and it's like, can't you fix it? And the answer was like, no,
No,
just can't. Like,
can't fix that.
okay, moving on to the next plot point. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I totally get those aspects. So you got to go into this knowing that you're gonna have
just
to
go. I
suspend
guess if you just
your
go in just
disbelief
to have a little bit
to
of
have fun with
fun
it,
and see big lizards and monkeys, then you'll be okay.
and see some really cool visual stuff. I mean, especially again, if
Yeah,
you are seeing it in the theater, or if you have 4K at home or Dolby
yeah.
Vision or anything like that. I mean, there's a lot like the colors,
I will
especially
say
in the Hong Kong scene. The colors
the
were
colors
just
are nice.
amazing.
Yeah.
Just jumping off the screen.
I think the
A lot of
Mothra parts
yeah.
of the older one of that was King of the Monsters again. I think that was probably for me the
Hmm.
most visually striking part of any of these ones
Yeah,
so far. So
yeah,
I think, for as much as I really didn't like that, I think that was a very beautiful part of that movie. So visually, there
yeah.
are
I
some
mean,
pretty cool things, even if I was ragging on a little bit of the CGI earlier. So
yeah, I think there's some really great visual stuff in here. And like I mentioned, the one that stood out to me was the Hong Kong scene specifically, with all the colors of the different buildings and them fighting in this backdrop, and they have no regard
I was
for
listening.
beautiful city skylines
This
at all.
is no.
Feel bad for the cleanup crews. Um,
This is nothing to do with anything, but I was listening to Disney music in the car with my daughter today, driving back and forth to Easter stuff. And when you say colors, I was like, colors of the wind, like,
colors.
all the different colors of the wind popping out on the screen.
Yeah, pretty much. Um,
uh, Moving on.
but yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of visual eye candy here for sure. Even if you're just there for that sort of thing. I will say the human characters in this film fall shorter than the non-human characters. I think there's um
There wasn't really anything with human characters to be really like. I mean,
there
Millie
was
Bobby Brown is off on a MacGuffin to eventually
yeah.
find Mech, Mechzilla, whatever, and
Mhm.
the, the whole podcaster thing was just, I don't know, just off the wall, weird.
I can't say anything against
No,
podcasters, you
but I
know what I'm
mean,
saying?
it was just it was just this weird like nut job podcasters off on chasing conspiracies, and like, if you're gonna have that character, why not make him a podcaster? It's like,
Right, right, right. No, it was yeah, it was funny. Um, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff I still don't quite know how to feel
but like what you
about.
said, exactly what you said, and like how the human characters, there wasn't really much here.
Yeah, I think the human characters kind of took a back seat. I think this is I feel like really the central character is Kong. I think this is really largely about him, and him finding home, being
If I
taken
was gonna
kind
pick
of
one
from his
human
home.
character, it would be the girl.
It would
The
be
Kong and
the
the
girl.
girl is the strongest
Yeah,
part of that movie
that's
for
the
me.
heart of the story,
Yeah.
for sure. So I think that was the best part, um, and I think it was. I do think this was the next step to take with Mechazilla, or however you say it.
All the
Um,
kaiju fans are gonna hate us for this.
yeah, I'm just gonna say Mechazilla, but I
Yeah.
don't have any idea what I'm talking
Call him
about.
Dragon
Um,
Sword.
right. But I think that was the next step, because you think about, you know, it, King of the Monsters, you had all these different monsters, and Godzilla became the king of them. That's that's a great way to
It's
describe
the
that.
it's a movie in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Um, and so where do you go next from there? You know, and I think the humans are in a position where they're basically like, okay, we're just the subject of these things. Like, how do we gain control of this situation? Because humans, they're going to have control in some way. Um, so the only thing that makes sense is to either get something that can destroy all of them, or get something that's bigger and better and badder. So I think going that direction made sense, with the Mecha Godzilla and everything. Um, but yeah.
Mech Godzilla becoming sentient like that was another weird part for me too. Like
Hmm.
that was another one of those things that just kind of felt rushed. I don't know. It was like all of a sudden he's doing his own thing.
Hmm.
I feel like uh, a pilot with his own um, reasons for doing something bad with that whole thing would made more sense than just having it become sentient right now. Like you know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and again, this movie is actually under 2 hours long,
yeah,
so it moves by pretty quickly. There's a lot of action. There's not a lot of character development. There's, it just basically it really packs a punch, I guess, and moves by pretty quickly.
you wouldn't happen to be saying that you want to release the Adam Wingard cut, would you?
I mean, it's HBO Max. They might do it, but no, I think I've had enough actually of monster movies for a while. I
You
think
don't
I'm
want the
good.
4 hour one?
No, no, I'm good for a while now.
Okay.
Gonna be taking a break, but no, I've enjoyed this little kind of journey into these monster movies and having fun with them, and I definitely feel like I would get some monster fatigue though if I watched any more. Um,
Yeah, no, I'm with you there.
yeah.
I actually feel like I'm already there.
But yeah, anything else to say about Godzilla versus Kong, good or bad?
No, I
Anything,
mean, like, I don't want to. I'm ragging on it a lot, but like, I didn't hate it. It's just it's not my favorite movie ever. I don't know that I'd ever want to go back and revisit it now that I've done that
Mhm.
once. Um, I think it might have been more fun to see in a theater.
Yeah,
I think it might have translated a little bit better. Just kind of going in unplugging and just kind of watching it on a big screen. I think that might have felt like a better experience for this type of movie the first time around.
yeah,
Uh, but like I said, I didn't hate it. It's just it's not my favorite movie by any stretch of the imagination. If I were to rate this out of 10, it would be high 6, low 7. So
okay. Yeah, I think for again, I struggle with reviewing movies the first time. I actually would like to see this again. Maybe, and I think you're right. I think this is a theater
it's a
experience. I
popcorn
think,
flick. Like you
yeah,
go
I
just
think
to
it would
get popcorn
benefit.
and just chill. Yeah,
Yeah, I think it would benefit from the theater experience. So
yeah.
I would like to see it
I
again, maybe even in
I agree.
theater.
I feel like the
Um,
people that went to the theater to saw it felt better about it than I did, and maybe that's
yeah,
not a coincidence.
right. So I think it does deserve that big screen experience. But there's definitely things that I enjoyed about it. Again, I really liked the Kong story. I really felt for Kong. I liked the relationship between Kong and the girl. I don't know her name right now. Um, I like that relationship. I liked the concept of the Hollow Earth and getting to actually see that on screen and getting to see like Kong's home. Because the dude. I mean, Skull Island is kind of, as they described it in the movie, the Hollow Earth like come to the surface.
Mm-hmm.
But he's obviously having to deal with all these humans and stuff still on Skull Island. So like, get this guy to somewhere he can just swing around and from tree limbs and stuff and enjoy himself. So I'm glad that that's where he kind of ends up. Um, I thought that was cool. The Hollow Earth was cool. I thought the axe was really cool. I was like, yes, he has an axe. Like that's pretty awesome. Um, so I enjoyed that. I really loved the visuals throughout the movie, and especially in that Hong Kong showdown. And then I did like the team up where they had to, kind of take down the mech Godzilla. It did feel
I
similar to
mean,
Batman versus Superman, but I liked it.
you mentioned the runtime earlier being less than 2 hours. There's a lot in this movie for 2 hours. Like,
There is a lot in the movie, but I do feel like it could have been a little bit longer just to develop
I
some of the
think
characters a little
so
bit better.
too. Like I feel like some of it was felt a little crammed for me. Like you talk about everything that you just talked about there. Between
Hmm.
Mech Godzilla is sending Millie Bobby Brown off to find that, and then you also have the Hollow Earth stuff, and then you also have Kong, and then you also have Godzilla, and it's like there's a
Yeah,
lot to cover in an
there's a
hour
lot
and
packed
50
into a
some minutes.
short runtime.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I think it could have been a little longer, just to develop things a little bit better. I didn't really love any of the human characters aside from again the small girl that I'm forgetting her name. I felt like and some of these characters just made these decisions like really quickly and were
yeah,
really easy
yeah,
to like the one
yeah.
woman, I forget what her name is. um she was so easily convinced by that scientist to like, okay, let's just take Kong into the Hollow Earth, and she was like, all right, it's cool. He should be fine. So that didn't take much convincing at all. um
I
and
mean, like I
I
said,
didn't
it was like
really follow the plot
yeah,
very
I
well.
know.
um
Same here.
because it was like, okay, they wanted to, I guess, get this power source so that they could control Godzilla or take him out if they needed to. And the scientist, I'm not sure what his motivation really for doing that was. I guess because he saw the threat of Godzilla, maybe. Um, but then,
I feel
and
like
then
it's a
maybe
power money thing for him. I feel like
yeah,
you have that, and then you have the power. That type of deal. I feel like that's kind of motivation for him.
right. And then the woman character, can't remember her. I'm trying to think of her motivation. Maybe just so Kong can live in peace if they take Godzilla out. I don't really
See,
know.
this is a
Um,
problem though. Like we can't. Like not only are we not are like characters and names not sticking out to us. Like
yeah.
why they're there isn't sticking out to us
Right.
either.
So those are the issues.
Like
Those are the things that I didn't like about it. I mentioned the things that I did like. So, I'd probably be somewhere in between a 7 and a 7.5 for this movie. I
yeah,
enjoyed it, but it left a little bit to be desired. So,
yeah,
yeah. And
feel
as
that.
weird as it is, after this review, I do recommend seeing it in the theater. So, if you're gonna watch it, um, maybe see it in the theater, or if you have a good setup at home, might make your experience a bit better. So, yeah.
Sounds
And
good.
any final thoughts?
Nah, check it out. I mean, if you have HBO Max, why not?
Yeah. Yeah, if you're not willing to go see it in the theater,
Yeah,
if you have HBO Max, yeah, it's definitely worth a look, especially if you've seen the other ones in the series. It's definitely worth looking at, and it's probably like maybe my second or third among the four connected films, I'd say.
I,
So,
I can see
yeah.
that. But I mean, it's also worth mentioning that the others do. This isn't one you just want to jump in if you haven't seen any of the other ones. So,
Hmm.
um, they do make a difference. So check those
Yeah,
out first if you haven't yet.
definitely. And I think that wraps it up for our review of Godzilla versus Kong. Um, and stay tuned
Subscribe,
to
hit the like button, subscribe.
subscribe to our subscribe to this channel, and stay tuned to the From a Certain Point of View podcast for all your movie and TV news, reviews, and points of view.